Hi everyone, my name is Bách and I'm from the High School for Gifted Students in Social Sciences and Humanities.
Hi, my name is Xanh and I'm from Hanoi Amsterdam High School for the Gifted Students. And
we are HAMS. Today we are very proud to propose the motion. This believes that states should incentivize existing fossil fuel companies to adopt greener practices rather than financing green energy startups. We are proposing that instead of pouring state money into startups that have to build everything from scratch, governments should use that money to incentivize the giants, the fossil fuel companies, to pivot. And here's how we make them work for us.
First, let's define what we are actually talking about. When we say incentivize, we mean the state offer tax breaks, subsidies, and contracts to fossil fuel companies, conditional on verified emission cuts and the integration of green technologies.
When we are financing startup, the implication is that state acting as a venture capitalist, giving grants directly to new companies to try and compete with the giants. And on proposition side of the house, we are not banning startups. In our world, startups still exist to invent tech. The state's financial firepower goes to the actor who can scale the solution better, the fossil fuel giant, which will be proven by our two main arguments in this debate.
Our first major argument is that why we are better at making use of resources allocated to us. The framing of this argument is that the primary obstacle to achieving a green transition is not technological invention, but rather the effective deployment of innovations. Green startups encounter a structural disadvantage referred to as the valley of death. While these companies may develop improved solar panels, they often lack the necessary capital for manufacturing, the logistical infrastructure for distribution, and the grid access to require for integration. The mechanism of change in this argument is fossil fuel companies has huge advantages in channeling resources. They own the pipelines, the shipping lanes, the rights of way, and the global supply chains that sustain them. If the state gives $1 billion to a startup, that startup has to spend $900 million just buying land and building infrastructure before they generate a single watt of green power. But if the state incentivizes a fossil fuel giant with that same money, the infrastructure already exists. The money goes entirely toward the transition. We turn the pipelines into hydrogen transport, we turn their offshore rigs into wind farm bases. And which leads to the impact. The primary impact is immediate scalability. It is more effective to utilize existing infrastructures.
This brings us to our second argument, and perhaps the most important one, neutralizing political power of these fossil fuel companies. Historically, from the 97's oil crisis to the present, demonstrates that fossil fuel companies possess significant political influence. These corporations have the capacity to destabilize governments and shape policy decisions. When governments provide financial support to startups aiming to replace fossil fuels, established energy companies actively resist. They allocate substantial financial resources to lobby against environmental legislation, for instance, or support climate change denial and obstruct regulatory efforts. As long as environmental initiatives threaten their business interests, these companies are likely to employ all available resources to oppose such changes. So in this debate then, our mechanism of change in this argument is that our model changes the incentive. By paying these corporations to transition, we create what economists call the golden handcuff. We align the profit motive with our survival, and when an oil giant gets massive tax break for building wind farms, and so suddenly they want pro-green policies, they stop lobbying against climate action and maybe start lobbying for it, because that's now where the money comes from. The primary impact of this argument is that political durability will be more on our side of the house. This approach interrupts the recurring cycle in which green legislation is enacted and subsequently repealed within a few years. It transformed the principal adversary of the climate movement into its most influential supporter, motivated not by self-interest. The opposition will tell you this is a moral hazard. They will say we are paying the polluter, but would you rather be morally superior in a world that's burning or pragmatically effective in a world that's healing?
We choose the latter. For this reason, we propose